Secrets Can Kill, a role-playing mystery game, the very first Nancy Drew game, was released in November 1998, starting an unhinged legacy which continues to this day. If you've only played the newer Nancy games, you might be surprised to learn that the plot of Secrets Can Kill involves guns, drugs, and murder. We're talking about capital F felonies instead of the usual whimsical crimes Nancy investigates in most of the games, like, "Ooh, I've painted this horse to look like a ghost while I hunt for treasure," or, "Ooh, I'm making this woman think she's turning into a werewolf while I hunt for treasure." Someone is shot. They show blood spurting from their arm, which might not sound that shocking, but if you know the Nancy Drew games, you know that's basically an unimaginable concept, even if there are implications of violence. We certainly never see the physical after effects of that violence. But as the original Secrets Can Kill is the most inaccessible Nancy Drew game, some of you might not be aware of quite how unhinged it gets. And that's why I'm here to walk you through all the freakish ins and outs of the plot. Secrets Can Kill starts off the way any good piece of children's media does, with a body bag. A teenager named Jake Rogers was murdered at a Florida high school, and teen sleuth Nancy Drew has been asked to investigate by her Aunt Eloise, who works as a librarian at the school. You don't really need to know anything about Aunt Eloise. She never appears in Secrets Can Kill and is forgotten by the third game. Her role in the series is basically just to own real estate located conveniently near a crime scene. To aid in her investigation, Nancy will be going undercover as a new transfer student at Paseo del Mar High School. If it can really be considered going undercover if she's using her real name and going around asking people questions like, "Did you murder Jake Rogers?" Nancy is apparently taking a semester off for the investigation, even though she solves it in a single day. So, 27 years later, how's that semester off going, bestie? Not gonna lie, I actually had never picked up on the fact that Nancy was a college student until this most recent replay of Secrets Can Kill. Just proves that every day is a school day, even for professional Nancy Drew scholars, such as myself. Okay, but I have a few questions, namely about this premise. Is her investigation officially sanctioned by the police, or is she just investigating this murder on a whim? Are the police actively investigating as well? Where are the police while all this is going on? Are they just investigating the mystery of the criminally good pies at Maxine's diner? They don't even show up to give Nancy a warning when she does some extremely conspicuous breaking and entering in broad daylight, which I guess is a sign of the privileges you have if your father is a famous attorney. It's worth mentioning that Secrets Can Kill is actually based on a book in the Nancy Drew Files series, originally published in 1986, and a lot of the unhinged content in the game comes from that book. If you want to know more, I have a whole video comparing the book to the game, so feel free to check that out.
Nancy glanced over admiring the car, and its owner gently revved the engine. The powerful motor gave a soft, throaty rumble, then another. Nancy smiled at the obvious come-on and lifted her gaze to the driver. Why is this scene so erotic?
Secrets Can Kill opens in Aunt Eloise's house, where Nancy collects a few useful items. A quarter, a phone card, a TV remote, and the school library key, found in Aunt Eloise's safe, which is hidden behind a tasteful tapestry of a shepherd rizzing up a maiden. After leaving the house, Nancy quickly meets the first of her main suspects, Daryl Gray, who is, in his words, a
Renaissance man, short order cook, student council president, and professional escort to pretty new students.
Surely he didn't say
professional escort?
At your service.
Daryl is ostensibly Nancy's professional contact, but in reality, he's more interested in another type of contact.
You're amazing. You've got a mysterious quality I find very intriguing.
Mysterious?
You seem different from the other girls. I think I'm going to enjoy being your contact.
You're not like other girls, he says. Oh really? What gave that away? Was it the fact that instead of going to school, she's investigating a murder on a whim? Nancy can discourage Daryl's flirtations and be like, actually, I have a boyfriend, but only if you follow one very specific dialogue branch. Otherwise, she is so into it, she is blushing and batting her eyelashes, she is putting the seduction in deduction, etc.
Whoever, or whatever you want. I'm the one for you.
Whatever I want?
When Nancy finally gets serious and asks Daryl for some info on Jake, he says, IDK, I didn't know him. Bro, what do you mean? You're supposed to be my contact. Your sole purpose is to give me information, and you have absolutely nothing to say about the murder victim? Daryl does reveal that he discovered the body and that Jake was killed by being pushed down a flight of stairs at the school. High school. Freaking killer, am I right? Apparently, Jake appeared to have been beaten up before his murder because his face was quote-unquote messed up. Daryl also addresses the question of where the police are. According to him, they've been in and out of the diner all day. Dude, where? This place is deserted in such a conspicuous way, it makes you wonder if there is some kind of health code violation scandal you're not aware of.
Nancy, I hate to leave such a beautiful detective, but I've got a hot girl waiting for me. See you later, okay?
Daryl, you should spend less time concerning yourself with your hot grill and more with the hot girl standing right in front of you. Daryl works at Maxine's, the local diner and popular teen hotspot, known for their good coffee and hamburgers of unknown quality, and one of the vibiest places I've ever seen. A dreamscape of turquoise tiles and chrome. Comment below what your Maxine's order would be. Mine would be cheeseburger, lemon pie, and ginger ale. But who is this Maxine? Well, we know 3 things about Maxine, courtesy of Daryl. 1, she's the owner of the diner. 2, she's around, but not anywhere Nancy is, we never see her. And 3, she has a special charm. This game will often throw you obscure lines like that, and it's just like, what am I supposed to do with that information? What does that even mean? But that's still 3 more things than we know about Jake at this point. While at Maxine's, Nancy casually strolls back into the kitchen like that's a completely normal thing to do at your local fast food restaurant. As if your picture wouldn't be put up on the wall for all the employees to memorize if you did that at your local McDonald's. But no one stops Nancy from going into the kitchen at Maxine's. Daryl doesn't even comment on it. In the kitchen, Nancy is given a warning from some tomatoes before picking up a soup ladle. She uses the soup ladle to replace some bolt cutters, which are propping up a leaky pipe of flammable gas underneath one of the counters, a situation which surely isn't OSHA compliant, especially considering that if you do not immediately replace the bolt cutters with the soup ladle, the diner will instantly explode in a ball of flame. Imagine you're a small child booting up Secrets Can Kill for the very first time in 1998 and you almost immediately explode Nancy to death. Wild. Proceeding from the diner to Paseo Del Mar High School, Nancy meets her 3 other suspects. First, there's Hector Hulk Sanchez. He's called Hulk because he's big and aggressive.
You have to be aggressive if you want to win. You have to be aggressive to survive in this world. Listen, sweetheart, to be the best, you gotta be aggressive.
Do you enjoy showing people who's boss?
Although his nickname in the Secrets Can Kill book is more suggestive.
They don't call him Hunk Hogan for nothing.
I guess they wanted to suggest like a sexy version of Hulk Hogan? A sexy teenage version of Hulk Hogan? Anyway, Hulk is embodying the phrase, ball is life.
Why would I know about a robbery? All I know about is football.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
He has some takes hotter than Daryl's grill.
Listen, sweetheart, to be the best, you gotta be aggressive and show them who's boss. Like the guy who killed Jake.
So what you're saying is, you think Jake's murderer was justified? Interesting. Nancy then asks Hulk what he knows about Jake, to which Hulk responds, nothing, except he was a punk and a jerk and a
loser. Unlike Jake Rogers, I'm a winner.
Unlike Jake Rogers?
Jake Rogers was a loser. No one liked the dude. Even if he'd lived, he was headed for trouble.
Only losers get murdered. Literally a skill issue. If someone tried to kill Hulk, they simply wouldn't be able to because he's a winner. He definitely self-identifies as an alpha.
Football!
Hulk is hanging out near the gym. Did you know he plays football? And nearby, Nancy notices a poster for a local school called the Crane School of Self-Defense. In an area called the Study Dome, Nancy meets Hal Tanaka, who is actually just 4 East Asian stereotypes in his trench coat. He's an exchange student from Japan studying to become a doctor, and goes by the name Hal because he thinks his Japanese name would be too difficult for Westerners to pronounce. He is very concerned about not disappointing his family and is enamored by the idea of the American dream. And what does Hal know about Jake?
Jake Rogers was a dark soul. He created a lot of trouble.
Dark soul?
Just a few steps away from Hal in the student lounge is our last suspect, Connie Watson. Like Hal, Connie is studying hard to get into college, but one test she struggles to pass is the Bechdel test.
You wouldn't want to waste your time with any of the guys at this school. They're pretty lame.
How well do you know Daryl Gray?
I wish I knew him better. He's the only guy I'd ever consider dating. He's student council president, holds a cool job at a diner called Maxine, and drives a Porsche 911.
But Connie is a girl's girl at heart and warns Nancy against the wolves walking around campus, which could either be metaphorical or point to the fact that Paseo del Mar High has a sizable furry club. Connie is wearing a prominent necklace, which, to be honest, I can't really make out, not even when I get close to my screen and make this face. But just trust that it has a Japanese kanji on it. I think we all went to school with that one weeaboo, right? Connie quickly becomes suspicious of Nancy, probably because conversations with her uncannily resemble interrogations. But she's undercover, remember, she's deep undercover. Nancy refuses to offer up any information about herself or contribute anything that isn't a thinly veiled, insinuating question.
So now there's one less wolf to avoid. Is that all you know about the murder? Was Jake Rogers a punk?
Throughout this game, Nancy is either unprovokedly aggressive with her suspects,
Hulk, is there anything you fear?
or she inanely repeats what they say back to them as questions.
I flip burgers here at Maxine's.
Flip burgers?
For their part, everyone at the school is aggressively chill, considering one of their fellow students was just murdered only meters from where they're standing. They're completely unconcerned by the fact that the murderer is still at large and don't even seem to have considered that they might be in danger themselves. Jake's death seems to have had the same impact on them as if he'd been expelled. But what is death, really, but being expelled from the school of life? The way these characters talk about Jake, too, doesn't really reflect the gravity of his fate. They're practically reveling in his demise, going out of their way to mention to Nancy how much he sucked.
Seriously, the Manatees are a great team at a great school. Everyone is cool, except for a few punks like Jake Rogers.
I try to be a decent person.
A decent person?
Yes, unlike Jake Rogers.
Jake Rogers was a total creep. Nobody liked him.
Hi, my name's Nancy. I'm new here. Oh, hi, Nancy. By the way, Jake Rogers really sucked, and I, for one, am happy he's dead. Nice to meet you. I appreciate the honesty, but boy does it make all these teens look like highly appetizing suspects. But it's lucky for Nancy that everyone at the school loves to gossip. They are supplying the juice, and Nancy is drinking it up. Nancy is doing a keg stand chugging this metaphorical gossip juice. After meeting everyone, Nancy can return to each character and ask their opinions on the others, which reveals some interesting intel. Hulk was recently injured, which might affect his chances of playing college football. Hal is facing a lot of pressure to get a scholarship. Connie is having money troubles. And Daryl is a nepo baby.
Daryl's father is former U.S. Senator Eugene Gray. I hear he was a great politician, but not a very good businessman. I think his company went bankrupt a few years ago.
Furthermore, they all seem to have a connection to Jake Rogers. Hal even says that Connie and Jake were dating, which is odd because Connie talked about Jake like he was a rat that just crawled out of an outhouse and slithered across her shoes. When Nancy confronts Connie about this discrepancy, Connie says,
Hey, a girl can make a mistake, can't she?
"A girl can make a mistake, just like how Jake's parents made a mistake 17 years ago when they decided to consummate their marriage and conceive a child," is what I assume Connie's thinking. Anyway, Nancy's goal after introducing herself to all 4 students who attend this high school is to break into Jake's locker to gather more info about Jake and who might have killed him. Nancy's like, "I need to figure out his combination," forgetting she has a pair of bolt cutters in her pocket. She guesses the combo after a hint from Hal, who was Jake's locker neighbor. The combination is 5253. Jake's first name spelled out on a phone keypad. Inside Jake's locker is an assortment of curious items: an empty VHS case, a book of English essays, a magazine with a feature on the anonymous winner of a local men's judo tournament, a box cutter, a hefty video camera, and a newspaper detailing the theft of a drug called Dianabol at the nearby drug depot. Nancy takes the box cutter cause you never know when you'll need to think outside the box. Quick Nancy inventory check. Currently in the pockets of her mom jeans, she has a quarter, a phone card, a TV remote, the school library key, a pair of bolt cutters, and a box cutter. You best believe this girl is clanking when she walks. Nancy then begins to explore the large, realistic high school, if you believe the back of the box. She quickly begins to find many ominous coded notes portending her fate, mostly about picking up the bolt cutters, but also something about a gun, which is more than a little foreboding. Eep, you know what I mean? There's no canonical explanation as to who posted these fourth wall-breaking notes. I'm guessing maybe a psychic wizard. You know how every high school has a psychic wizard on staff? Literally on staff, because they've got their magical wizard staff. Anyway, some useful information can be found in the library. Jesus fuck! In a book about Japanese kanji, Nancy finds the kanji for crane, which matches the symbol on Connie's necklace. Take her word for it. Nancy thinks. Interesting that the judo school I saw the poster for is also called Crane. Browsing a magazine called Sports Today, she notices an article about athletes abusing steroids, which confirms that Dianabol, the drug stolen from the drug depot, is a type of steroid. Nancy then decides she wants to snoop in the teacher's lounge, but the door is locked. So she takes the logical next step and goes around the side of the school and cuts a hole in the window of the teacher's lounge with the box cutter and breaks in that way. One of the most important lessons I've learned from Nancy Drew is that sometimes you have to commit a crime to solve a crime. There'll be times when you have to put the I in investigate to get things done. That's just how it is. Inside the teacher's lounge, Nancy finds a security report which places Connie, Hal, and Daryl at the school, aka the scene of the crime, on the night Jake was killed, along with 2 people who had an argument in the video lab. The first male was approximately 5 foot 5 inches, 120 pounds, red hair, 15 to 18 years old. He wore a green windbreaker and jeans. The second male was older and heavyset, 25 to 30 years old. I think we can assume the younger person is Jake, but who's the other guy? The only people Nancy has met are teenagers. But it would be really bad writing if the culprit wasn't any of the suspects Nancy's been getting to know but a random man, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be really funny and bad. Anyway, there's also a reference in the security report to a toolbox from a company called Dillon HVAC, which was left in the boiler room. Nancy can also look in the student files and discover an essay Hal wrote, which is identical to one in the book in Jake's locker. That's right, it's the least fun type of play. Plagiarism. Not one of my best moments. Really, the teachers should have figured out that Hal was a plagiarist considering that their in-out board spells Tanaka cheats. But I guess they were too busy eating donuts and submitting complaints to HR that the psychic wizard on staff keeps turning them into rabbits. So Nancy marches down to the study room to confront Hal.
Jake knew you copied your essay from that book of English essays, didn't he?
Yes, Nancy. I'm very ashamed.
Don't worry about it, Hal. Doing whatever it takes to get what you want, even if it means abandoning your own morals, is the great American pastime. You'll do well in this country. Hal claims that he was under immense pressure to get a scholarship for college, otherwise his family wouldn't let him stay in the United States, the bestest country in the entire world. To improve his eligibility for a scholarship, he signed up for extra courses, taking on an almost insurmountable workload. According to Hal, he copied the essay as a last resort, unable to keep up with all the work on his plate. It was a mistake, he claims. A mistake? What, your hand just slipped and copied an entire essay? Take some accountability for your actions, bro. But Jake found out about Hal's plagiarism. He blackmailed Hal into doing all of his homework as well, threatening to inform Hal's family of his cheating if he didn't comply, which is proof that plagiarism doesn't pay. It just makes your life worse, actually. Nancy suspects that Jake might have had information on Connie and Hulk too, so she confronts them, but they prove to be harder nuts to crack than Hal, like maybe a macadamia nut. Or a Brazil nut.
You're wearing a Japanese medallion with a symbol that means crane. And Crane is the name of the judo school on the poster in the gym.
What a coincidence. Funny, I never noticed.
Tell me about the robbery at the drug depot pharmacy.
Why would I know about a robbery? All I know about is football.
Stumped, Nancy goes to chat with Daryl to see if he has anything interesting or helpful to say.
How can I help, my #1 detective?
Daryl, what are we? Daryl does not have anything interesting or helpful to say, but he does pass on a note to Nancy that was left for her at the diner. I have the solution to your mystery. Meet me in the boiler room. The writer of this note is better at flirting with Nancy than Daryl could ever hope to be. So Nancy skips off to the boiler room in the school. To get in, she first has to locate the code which is listed on the computer in the teacher's lounge, but the door lock is in Braille, so she has to translate the code into Braille with a book she finds in the library, and then there's no one down there. Only a dangerously hot boiler. Things begin to heat up when she discovers the elevator call button has been tampered with. Nancy is trapped. Another disgusting display of disregard for OSHA regulations by the citizens of Paseo del Mar. There should be stairs to the boiler room as well as an elevator. There's also this freaky hole in the corner, but we don't have time to interrogate that, because if Nancy doesn't fix the boiler in time, she will... So Nancy fixes the boiler and doesn't die. She finds a vent that she's able to crawl through like a worm, and inside the vent is an unlabeled VHS tape, which Nancy obviously picks up. Once safe and sound back at Aunt Heloise's house and presumably covered with enough dust to insulate a small family home, Nancy watches the footage on the VCR. It's a video shot by Jake, who seems to have had nothing better to do than to skulk and creep around town, spying on his fellow students. The first clip is of Hulk escaping the drug depot with some kind of drug. The second shows a masked person entering a car with a judo trophy before revealing themselves to be Connie. Then there's Hal copying his essay, and the final clip is of Daryl delivering a mysterious package to an unknown man with jaundiced skin and a gross ponytail in exchange for money. Although a stranger, we can assume this is the mysterious man mentioned in the security report, the older and heavy-set male 25 to 30 years old. Odd that it didn't mention his two most distinguishing features, his jaundiced skin and gross ponytail. When you think about the size of the camera Nancy found in Jake's locker, it is frankly shocking that no one ever noticed him peeping on them. That thing is the size of an award-winning squash. They must have been spectacularly self-absorbed to not notice Jake lugging that thing around, taking the time to perfectly frame them in the viewfinder. Armed with this video evidence, Nancy goes to confront her suspects and accuse each of them of murder. She quickly learns that Jake got a borderline sexual kick out of exerting power over his fellow students.
Jake knew you broke into the drug depot. He was blackmailing you, wasn't he?
Yeah, he found out I stole the steroids and threatened to turn me over to the cops. Would have meant the end of my football career if I didn't cooperate.
What did he want from you?
You name it. Chauffeur, errand boy, bodyguard. He loved ordering me around like I was his slave.
Okay. Jake was blackmailing me. Why else would I have gone out with that slimeball? He was cruel. He liked to humiliate me in public and told everyone I was his black belt babe.
It's interesting to me that Jake didn't use his illicit knowledge to extort money from his victims, but to assert dominance over them, as if whatever he was getting out of that was worth more to him than financial gain. Just saying that if you showed me Jake Rogers' browser history, Nothing in there would surprise me. When confronted with hard evidence of their respective secrets, each suspect tries to justify their actions to Nancy, but it's Connie who's most convincing.
I'm the mysterious winner of the men's tournament. It wasn't easy for me, and I'm proud of what I did.
She explains that she entered the men's judo tournament due to misogynistic policies, which meant that the prize money for the men's division was significantly higher than that for the women's division. The prize money was enough to cover a year's worth of tuition and make Connie the first person in her family to go to college. Can we really fault a woman for that? For breaking through the glass ceiling with one forceful judo kick? Meanwhile, Hulk's justification for stealing the steroids is that he very badly wants to play football. Hulk, did you kill Jake?
I'm not a killer, Nancy. I didn't do it. I'm sorry Jake's dead, but I can't waste my time worrying about it. Sorry, can't talk now. I gotta go to practice later.
How did you kill Jake?
I was not happy about the situation, but I would never kill anyone. I value human life.
Connie, did you kill Jake?
Do you think I would give up everything I've worked for and do a stupid thing like that? Jake treated me really badly, but I'd never kill him. You can turn me in if you want to. I'm telling the truth.
Finally, Nancy heads over to Maxine's to grill Daryl, who admits that yes, he was a drug mule, all while keeping this unwaveringly cheery smile on his face.
I didn't know what I was getting into. This guy, Mitch Dillon, offered me a way to make some fast money. I needed the cash for school next year. So I went for it. All I had to do was pick up a package at the pharmaceutical company, but then Mitch threatened me.
So you were a drug runner? Oh, Daryl.
So basically, he was like, I'm not making enough money working minimum wage at Maxine's, and immediately jumped to smuggling drugs? But Daryl, why, if you needed the money, did you choose to endanger yourself, risk a prison sentence, and a public scandal for your politician daddy, instead of selling the brand new Porsche convertible he bought you? Dude. Bro. Daryl was recruited into this drug-running scheme by a guy named Mitch Dillon, owner of the Dillon HVAC toolbox found in the school's boiler room. Jake, after discovering Daryl's secret, decided to escalate his blackmail scheme even further and go after Mitch. We all know how that went for him. Daryl reveals that Mitch left the note for Nancy, meaning that he also plotted her murder via a dangerously hot boiler. Teenagers. But you can't kill just one! Nancy plans to set a trap for Mitch, and to accomplish this, she decides to put together a team, an elite squad composed of the only 4 people she knows in this town, all of whom are teenagers. The first person she recruits is Daryl, who will be delivering food to the pharmaceutical plant later that night and can lure Mitch out with the promise of hamburgers of unknown quality. Next, Nancy approaches Hulk, Hal, and Connie to convince them to join the operation, but they have all the integrity of an overcooked noodle.
I've told you what I know. Listen, my body's my temple. I can't risk it for anyone. Sorry, babe. I can't risk getting involved.
My future is at stake. I have to make the grades, or my family won't continue to pay for my education. I must go now.
This is starting to get really intense. I don't want to get involved, even if it means I would get the chance to help Daryl.
Limp, cowardly spaghettis, the lot of you. Great to know that when faced with a situation in which they could save someone's life and put a known killer behind bars, they would have to respectfully decline for personal reasons. So night falls, and Nancy and Daryl go confront Mitch. From a distance, Nancy watches Daryl approach Mitch, who proceeds to physically threaten Daryl before pulling out a gun. Connie flies onto screen with a kick straight to Mitch's head, which scoffs in the face of physics. I can see why she won that judo tournament if she can do moves that defy the rules of physics. The gun goes off, the bullet skimming Daryl's arm before the pistol flies out of Mitch's hand, and Nancy picks it up. She aims the gun at Mitch and says, "Don't even think about moving, Beach. You're going to rot in prison," or words to that effect. In her closing letter, Nancy informs us that Mitch is going to prison, Connie is teaching Daryl judo, Hal got his scholarship, and Hulk is paying for the damages he inflicted to the pharmacy, and we never learn whether he got his football scholarship. I guess it would probably be bad if the message of this children's game was, it pays to break into a pharmacy and steal drugs and do steroids. And alternatively, it would be a bit of a bummer ending to find out that Hulk never got his scholarship and lapsed into a miserable life of failure and alcoholism. Finally, there's a hint towards the next game.
Today, Aunt Eloise got a letter from a friend. Something about a television station and death threats. Sounds like another case for Nancy Drew. Don't worry, I'll be careful.
After Secrets Can Kill, the Nancy Drew series pivoted in multiple ways, from changing to 3D character models to exploring more low-stakes crimes. Like, ooh, I'm sending this soap actor nasty-tasting chocolates which spell out a threat because I don't like him, making Secrets Can Kill feel like a surreal dream. But it is real. It does exist. Nancy really does point a gun at a man. Have you played the original Secrets Can Kill? What are your thoughts on it? And let me know if you'd like to see me recap any other Nancy Drew games.
Like a bullet from a gun, she arrived on the scene. A young detective who doesn't know the meaning of fear. When she's hot on the case, no time to waste.